Just making sure that the stream is actually live. This is David, the Georgia photographer, and I'm going to come to you live for about an hour or so and just talk to you about something that's kind of been on my mind. Not bad, just it was an idea, and I thought I could go to all this trouble and make a video, or I could just live stream and talk to you guys about it right now. So I figured I'd do it. Because right now, I'm in sunny, beautiful, wildfire riddled Northern California. We're just outside of a little community called Kings Beach off of Lake Tahoe. If you've never done the homework on Lake Tahoe, it's actually kind of neat. Lake Tahoe is like 1,600 feet deep. It's huge. It's up on top of these mountains, and I think it's filled completely with snow melt. There's another pond right over there. You can see in the reflection of the window that we're up in the mountains at a chalet. And yeah, going on 8 o'clock at home. Kind of strange. But I said that right. I don't know that I made it public. Let's check and see. Hey, there's somebody. All right. Who's here? What I've got is I've got my travel kit with me from Georgia. We've come out here to California. Bass angler, how you doing? Good to see you tonight. I made the notice like 5 minutes ago on the channel. I thought I'd just crank up a live stream. Hey Carmen, how you doing? What are you doing in California? Apparently choking on wildfire smoke. Actually, we're out here because Sierra qualified for rock climbing nationals one last time. She's 19 and she gets to compete. By the way her birthday falls, this is her last cycle. So she came out and competed in nationals, and now that she's done with that, we're on a little mini vacation for a few days. But yeah, we've been all around Lake Tahoe. We've been to like Virginia City and seen where the Comstock lode was at. You know, all the mines that mined that silver vein, and there was a huge gold deposit there too. That little town made a lot of people very, very wealthy really quick. The Hat. Well, hello there. Interesting channel name. But out here, gas is over $4 a gallon, guys. It blew my mind. I walked by a gas station in Kings Beach, exactly. It's about 12 miles that way, and yeah, it's over $4 a gallon for like the cheap gas. It blew me away how much it costs out here for gasoline. But we're up here in the Sierra Nevada mountains. We've been to Donner's Pass where the Donner Party perished. We went up there and the kids did some sport rock climbing. I've shared one of those photos on the Instagram of Sierra doing a route. But now, I haven't really been posting a lot about it because it's kind of been more of a getaway / vacation than it was a YouTube content gathering mission, because we come out here for Sierra's rock climbing and Teresa had stuff she wanted to do. So because of that, I didn't really plan on making a lot of videos while I was here. And I got some footage in, I got a little video collected up. I got the footage in the can, as they say, for a little bit of piece of Virginia City. And then I've got just a few clips here and there. I really don't have anything else. I've took some photos. I did a night photography walk in Reno, Nevada. And that's where, there's one of those pictures on that I shared on Instagram. I think it's of the movie theater is the one I shared. I think I'm back. The Hat says, mate, never buy gas in the UK. We get ripped off something rotten for it here. About £1.40 sterling per liter. Wow, $7.30 a gallon. Woo. Man, that's terrible. That's incredible. I don't understand that. Wow. Yeah. Back home, it's like $2 and something a gallon, and I thought that was a little bit high. Carmen says, we lost you for 30 seconds, but now you're good. Yeah, I don't understand it. All right, I'm going to break you loose from the hard mount. I'm going to do this. Hold on. Oh, no, I won't there. It got onto me. Okay, we'll put you back. It did a 120-mile round trip today. My wallet is crying now. Woo, yeah. Dude, that's pretty harsh. I mean, at $7.30 a gallon. Especially the thing I'm driving. We rented a GMC Yukon so we'd have enough cargo space / people space. And we filled it up a couple times on this trip. People going to different little events here and there. And it's getting like 19 miles a gallon. It's some kind of terrible mileage. Fortunately, everything is, you got to go through the mountain passes to get to stuff, but it's not a long way. So luckily, we don't have a big problem with that. I'm thinking that the connection's still good. Well, what I was going to show you guys was I came out here for like a 10-day trip, and everything I brought fit in this backpack. Everything I brought. Well, not including the tripod that this is on. I brought the tripod always goes in my check bag. If I lose it on the way, I'll get something somewhere, Walmart. I'll buy some cheap one or something if I lose it. But I don't normally take the tripod on my personal. I just throw it in the check bag. But what I got here is, this is that Think Tank photo retrospective deal I got for Christmas last year. And in it, I have a DJI Osmo. The handle for it's in the other side. I was charging it this morning. I don't have the whole kit. I bought mine off eBay, and I got a good deal in it. And because of that, I have one battery, and I have to charge it through the USB-C port. I don't have a charger and a spare battery or anything. So I had it in the truck, charging it with USB-Cs. That's why it's out the thing. And of course, a strap, a Rocket Air. You know, everybody's got one of them. Set all this stuff aside. Then in here is a 75 to 150 millimeter zoom lens. It's an old Pentax zoom that I've got. I did a review on this recently. There it is. It's currently adapted to Leica. It's Leica L mount from Pentax K mount. I got a couple of these K mount lenses, and these are all amazing glass. Then of course a couple of Arca Swiss plates. I got one on the, I think it's still on the bottom of this camera. I was doing long exposure with it last night. And here is a 24 millimeter Nikkor with a, what do you call it? Nikon F mount to Leica L mount adapter. Everything's L mount adapted because all I brought was Leica cameras. I just simplified the process and just brought one. I brought two cameras with the same mount on purpose. Instead of bringing two different bodies with two different mount schemes, I consolidated it to where everything was L mount. But yeah, I like this 24 millimeter Nikkor on my Leica CL. A lot of times I use that for all sorts of stuff, but of course it's not as nice as that 23 millimeter Summicron I just sold, but it's manual, and we all know I like manual glass. I like that Nikkor lens too. I've used it for a long time on various things. Somebody said something. Oh no. Somebody waved behind you. Yeah, the family's in the condo. There's no telling. It was probably Sierra. But yeah, I'm gonna set that down. But yeah, I got the 24, and of course the CL. And I found myself moving to this little guy more and more because of its compact nature. You know, of course, it's interchangeable lens, but you know, gotta look at that Leica goodness on that lens, their body cap. That's the only Leica branded body cap I have, I think. I have a bunch of these off-brand ones, but I found myself running out of L-mount lens caps, so I buy lens caps, and they always come with these body caps. But I keep one of them for spare, because sometimes when you pack your camera bag, you just can't get the lens and camera assembled in the bag, so I'll break them down to get them to where they'll fit better. Of course, memory cards, there's batteries and a lens coffin. But this little guy is my POV adapter. What that does is allows me to put the Osmo on top of the hot shoe of the camera and do the POV vlogs. That's the device. It's a cold shoe mount, as you can see. And it just sits on the hot shoe of the camera. Works like a dream. And it's like super cheap. So if you ever wanted to be able to record like that, that's all you need is that little widget. The camera already has the little cage normally that allows for that. But yeah, I'll probably use this evening. We're going back to a little town called Truckee. The Truckee River flows between Lake Tahoe and it's like Crystal Lake or something to the north. And it doesn't drain to the sea, strange as that is. But yeah, that town of Truckee is just about 5 miles that way. It's right over there. I can almost see it from here. And we're going over there this evening to eat supper. But I'll take this because it's small and compact. And I'll probably put that 24 on it. It fits in its own little pocket. See? Whoop, whoop. There you go. Give you an idea of what's going on here. That big camera is my Leica SL2, and it's currently wearing a 28mm f3.5 Asahi SMC. And you can see I still have the Arca Swiss plate on it from where I was doing long exposures last night in Kings Beach. I've gotten to where I like to do this sort of Nick Carver-esque style photos. I'm starting to find like buildings that are interesting to me at dusk or at night, and I want to take a photo of them in the dark, not like at sunrise, sometimes at sunset, but I want it to be darker than sunset. Nick likes them right at sunrise or right at sunset so that the lights inside the building are the same intensity as the sun or the sky. It's all one kind of exposure. But I like for the building to illuminate itself. And then I don't shoot them square on. I like to shoot them off, quartering away, if that makes sense. You know, like I took a picture, I'll probably share it pretty soon, of a Rite Aid. It's like a CVS or a Revco or whatever you want to call it. Walgreens maybe, it's a little one. And it's pretty cool to me. I like it a lot. But I got several of them on here. And I bought new memory cards for this trip because the ones I've been using, here's something that's important to understand. If you have SD cards, you can only format them so many times before you start having damaged memory sectors. It's just like a hard drive. The more you use it, the more you write to it, extract from it, write to it, extract from it, clean it, and do it all over again, it wears out those memory sites, those little data points. Memory wells, whatever they're called, and over time it's time to replace them. And the ones I was using in this SL2 were so old I had almost rubbed all the text off the logos. So I bought some of these monsters. They're UHS-2 cards. They have extra contacts, so they write faster. They're 128 gigabytes. They're Hoodman Steels. And they're marked as 2000X write speed. And they do write faster, significantly faster than the regular UHS-1 cards I was running. Randall Brander, thank you for the donation. Dude, you're awesome. And of course, you would do that right as an airplane went over. Man, I really appreciate you. Let's see here. David, let us know about the water situation is out in that area. Lake Mead water line is very low, so I was wondering about the area where you are. Okay, Randall's asked the question, what's the water level like? And Lake Tahoe is down what appears to be about 2 feet. Not much, seriously. The shoreline, you can tell the shoreline is pulled back a little, but not much. Maybe it might be down more than that, just to tell you the truth, because the beach runs way off down, and then you got, because like at Kings Beach is where I see it, because we've went out on that beach. The beach sand area is about 50 yards from the resort edges, and then sand about 50 yards, and then you got the edge of the, looks like the mud bed of the lake, and then it might go out 3 or 4 feet, and then it turns into water. So the water level's down a little, but it's not like it is at Lake Mead, or was it Lake Shasta? And then there's another big lake just north of Los Angeles that's got a hydro plant that they're saying that hydro plant ain't gonna be able to run. There's a serious drought here. I mean, there's wildfires all around us. Carson City had one light off yesterday, and you can't tell it from here because it's behind the resort building. My condo is blocking the view, but I got video footage of it yesterday evening. It's got, like, the whole sky is blacked out in one direction. I filmed it. It goes from blue to tan to dark brown, back to tan, back to blue as I pan the camera. It's bad. Lake Oroville, yeah, that was it. I want to say there's another one, but I know Shasta's got problems, Mead's got problems, Oroville's got problems, but I don't think there's a problem up here in the Sacramento/Reno area yet, and Lake Tahoe looks to be okay right now. I mean, all the beaches don't look like the beaches at the other places where, you know, the boat ramp actually still goes into water, you know. Yeah. And like we saw Lake Donner or Donner's Lake or whatever it is, and it looked okay from Donner's Pass the other day. So these high mountain lakes haven't been drained yet. I don't think they've dropped big siphon lines in them, because it seems that like most of the problem is in Southern California and Southern Nevada, and up here it seems to be in not such a bad scenario. Now they're not getting as much rain as they need because, like I said, they're having wildfire problems all around us. Like there's north of Sacramento, there's a couple, and Sacramento's only like 3 hours that way. It's not far. We're just over the line. I'm in California, but barely. I mean, literally 20 minutes east of here is the Nevada line. Lake Tahoe is divided in half between California and Nevada. They share ownership. So that's a kind of a problem in my book, because California starts running out of water, they're going to drop a line in Lake Tahoe, start pulling water out of it. I can see that coming. And they may already have a line running to it, but I don't know. But right now it looks okay right now. But thanks for the cup of coffee, dude. I appreciate that. Camera envy. Carmen asked, David, is the CL a metal body? Yes. Yes, it is. And I have it also, above and beyond that, it's an aluminum body. It's not a brass. I don't think it's brass. I'm pretty sure it's aluminum. But yeah, it's aluminum chassis. But I have it also in a limbs leather covered like drop-in shoe half case, whatever you want to call it. You can see it only comes up to here on both sides. Well, it comes to the top there, but it doesn't go across the top at all. And it adds this grip. Plus, it has the cutout to allow you to get to the battery door. If I flip this door, you can see it pops the door open to change the battery. And the Leica one is basically this, but you don't get that function. That immediately turned me off to the Leica one. Plus, this has an Arca Swiss plate made into it right here. This actually is made, you can see it right there. It fits on my tripod, so I can do long exposures or what have you with it. But yeah, I really like this camera works really well for me. It's a crop sensor, 24 megapixel crop sensor. and it takes beautiful photos. I like shooting with it, especially with my telephoto glass. It just works. It works really well. But yeah, I'll stick it back in here for now. And it has something else. It has the offset viewfinder. It's over to the side. Well, I turned it on. There we go. So that when you're looking through it, your nose don't get in the way. And I look over my glasses. I look through here, and I've got all the diopters set for my eye without my glasses. Because what I've learned is if I try to look through my glasses, I stick this greasy eye cup straight on the lens, and now there's a big smudge on my lens. So that's why I look over my glasses and I focus the diopter to fit my eye without my glasses helping. And that works really well. But yeah, these are all EVF cameras, and they work really well. Let's see, there's some stuff happening. Let me catch up. Apologies for going off topic. Got to get some work done, but wanted to say thanks. Your video on the Nikon Pre-AI 50 f1.4 was really useful when I was debating getting one. Well, thank you. I'm glad it was a help. Yeah, no problem at all. I mean, I'm carrying some vintage Nikon glass in here today, and I've shot with it, and I'll probably use it this evening. But yeah, thank you for stopping by. And if you haven't done it yet, I'd appreciate a subscribe and thumbs up this video if you haven't done it yet. Anybody that's watching the live stream, hit that thumbs up. I appreciate it a lot. But yeah, current trim on the SL2 is a vintage 28 millimeter f3.5. This is a Asahi optical, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's a Takomer. So it's basically an early Pentax. But this thing takes stunning photos, and I'm worried that I'm getting a little bit of haze on the rear element. I'm gonna have to take it apart and try that peroxide and ammonia trick to clean it and see if I can get this lens to, because I think I'm starting to see halos around the sun stars. But I got it. I mean, cheap enough back in the day. Oh, nice. I need to get one of those. Okay, good. Thank you. Yes. Hi, David. California. Yeah. Watch out for the. Appreciate it, the hat. I really do. But Dwayne said, watch out for the fire and smoke. We haven't seen the fires officially, but we have seen the smoke. And we went to Virginia City yesterday, and you could smell the smoke all day. It smelled real brush fiery all day long. When we got there was a big haze of smoke over all of the canyons surrounding Virginia City. It's up on the side of a slope, and I said too long, yeah. And so you can see down into like 6 Mile Canyon and down towards, what was it called? Gold Pit, I don't remember. It's next door to Virginia City. It's where they found like this huge deposit of gold ore right beside the mine shaft for the silver mine. Ah, hey Scott, how you doing? Thank you for dropping by. I really like my cigar. I let it sit there, talk so long it went out. It probably isn't real smart to be smoking with a wildfire problem. As they said, the forest is a tinderbox. Just don't throw my cigar over the handrail. But yeah, it's been sporty up here. First 2 days we was here, we was staying in Reno, and it was 109. I think the second day I know it was 109 because I took a photo of the thermometer in the car. I think the first day it was 108 or 9. Felt like you would be outside walking down the sidewalk, and it would feel like you were being, you know how you have a blow dryer on high and you blow it towards your face? Your whole body was like that. I was joking with Sierra that, you know how when you get your clothes right out of the dryer, right after you turn it off and they're still warm and you put them on, your clothes felt like that all day. They were hot. That's a pretty good cigar. It's a Punch. Classico. Said it was made in, I'm pretty sure it said made in Nicaragua. Honduras. Made in Honduras. It's a good cigar. But yeah, I do a lot of just general photography, believe it or not, with this monster. With the 28 millimeter, it's great for like snapshots. And if you shoot it like, if it's bright sun, like out here right now, in direct sun, I'll shoot it on F11. And if I set the infinity marker on F11, everything basically from just a little under 4 feet on is in focus. So I can literally just take snapshots and not even ever touch the focus ring. I just check it every so often to make sure I haven't bumped it, knocked it off. But hat had to go. It's 1 a.m. here and I still have stuff to do. Thank you. Appreciate you coming by, Hat. Yeah, awesome. Peroxides worked very well for me with haze removal. Only a few occasions when I wasn't that worried about the lens, I washed the element with warm water and dish soap. Worked surprisingly well. Thank you. But yeah. I was going through what all I brought with me, and we got stuck on 2 cameras. Okay, what else is in the bag? This is a Zoom F1 audio recorder. I record audio. If I'm shooting my vlogs with the GoPro style camera, I will use this little recorder and a lav mic to get good audio. That way you can hear me, and the wind noises. This thing eliminates wind noise. It's almost the best thing since sliced bread. It's super easy to use, and it's super reliable. It works really well. Runs on 2 AAA batteries is the only hiccup. I mean, it could be worse. I wished it ran on double A's. It would run a lot longer, but it would be so much bigger if it did. We're also right next to the airport. There's Teresa. I see her right behind me. You got to wave at them. You're on camera. You're allowed to speak.
I'm just standing there like I'm posing.
Oh. They're all going to say hi in a second now. Next lens, 50 millimeter. Hi, boss lady. There it came. You got to say hi back.
Is it Delphin?
No, it's bass angler.
How about
She said hi. This is my 50 millimeter Summicron, basically a 50 millimeter f2. It's a Leica. This is the replacement for the one I jacked up in Costa Rica. When I busted that one, it kind of got the focus helicoid isn't right anymore. It tweaked it. And I haven't been brave enough to take it apart yet to see if I can fix it. Kind of thinking I can't. I'm pretty sure it bent them little guide pins that the helicoid drives. So I went ahead and got my new 50. And this is what they call an R-only lens. And it has to do with the way the cam surfaces drive the camera. This one has the cam surfaces only for the R family cameras, because the Leica Flex, the original Leica Flex, well, look at that. Where's the red dot on it at? There we go. Sometimes. But they have different generations of these, and there's one newer in this called a ROM. But that's a beautiful lens. It takes stunning photos. It rides on the CL when the 28 ain't on it. Let's see. Spare batteries for said cameras. I always keep them in a Ziploc bag so I can find them easy, and I keep them all in one place. They don't float around the bag. Let's see. I saw a question come by. What's up with the California visit? Woody Mallory. Hey, Woody. How you doing today? Thank you for coming by. Sierra won divisionals in rock climbing for her division, so we had to come out here to Reno for nationals so she could compete in nationals. And she didn't move on to like the finals. She got eliminated. So once you get eliminated, you're just kind of free to go. So what we done was we planned a few extra days so we could make a little vacation out of it. They opened that door more. That's pulling a draft. Yeah. I close it a little bit and reduce the wind noise on the mic some. But yeah, so we stayed our first 6 days in Reno in Nevada, and then we came out here to Lake Tahoe since Friday till tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning we load up and drive to Salt Lake City, Utah, and I'm gonna try to do a photo walk in Utah, maybe do some night photos in downtown Salt Lake City. But we go there, we stay there 2 days, and then we're flying home. But I really haven't done a lot of videos, let's tell you the truth. But getting back to the subject at hand, now that I've caught that up. Last but not least, lens. This was my video potential lens. I brought this because it's a 55 millimeter f1.8 super Tacomer. I think it's it's super Tacomer. This is the 55 that I ran on the XT3 so long. It's a great little lens, little tiny thing. It's an M42 mount lens. Look how little it is. It's tiny. But what my plan was for this was to do a comparison video between the Summicron F2 and the 55 f1.8. They're pretty similar on focal length. They're pretty close on aperture, so that you could say, what does a $50 lens do that, or what does a $1,000 lens do that a $50 lens won't do? That's the camera, that's the lens review or lens video that this is for. And I'm still gonna do that video, but it may be once I get back home. I really don't know that I'm gonna have time to do it here. We've had a pretty tight schedule, so, but I brought it for that. And then I've got some pain meds and crap. Then on the other side, I've got a notebook, and I carry a pen, and the little rechargeable power pack things, you know, I got one of them. And I keep the phone from going dead while we're live streaming. It's plugged into it right now. But, you know, of course, the rocket area, you know. But yeah. And that all fits nice and, what was that? Oh. That was the hand-holding thing for my GoPro. Now it's over there under the table. I'll get it after the vlog is over. But yeah, that backpack is a little bit heavy, but I've got 2 cameras and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lenses. 1 lens is surplus for a vlog, you know. I wouldn't have brought that 55 1.8 had I not been planning on doing a video with it. So, but 5 lenses, all the batteries, 2 chargers. There's a couple of chargers that I keep in there. They'll fit in there too. I just tuck them in the corners out of the way. And like I said, a notebook, a couple of these power packs, some headphones, things like that, a bunch of cables. I have a bunch of like USB-C cables, because that's one of the things I like about the SL2 is you can USB-C charge it while you're driving. It's got a port right here, and I'll plug it in and let it top off while we're traveling somewhere. I only have 2 batteries for it, and if you leave it on, I can go through them 2 batteries in about 3-4 hours max. They don't last as good as I would want them to. As big as they are, I mean, that's a pretty big battery, but you don't get good long life out of it, mainly because you're running an IBIS mechanism and you're running the displays. You know, there's a lot of electronics in there that it's talking to. There's a lot going on that battery's operating, so I get that, but I only have 2. So until I get a 3rd battery, what I'll do is, if I'm using the battery I'm using, if, like I said, while I'm in the car, I'll plug it in, I'll let it be charging with USB power. And if I run both of them down, I can charge both of them at once, because I've got the wall charger in the house, and I'll just plug in a USB charger and charge the other one in camera. And that way I can just charge them, I can double my charge time. It speeds it up. Well, yeah. But that's everything I bring with me. And like I said, I brought some extra stuff this time. I mean, I brought the action camera, and I've used it some, like I said, but I haven't done a lot with it on this trip. It just hasn't worked out. Spare memory cards, you know. It's kind of nice. These great big card holders, what I like about them is they're hard to lose. These are the ones the new UHS-2 cards came in, and I stuck some 128 gig spare cards in it. See here. Randall Brander says, I am still waiting on my Z50 batteries. They're sold out everywhere. They're still sold out? Oh, wow. Is the new ZFC going to use the same battery as the Z50? If it is, surely they can ramp up production on those batteries so you'll have some, or at least release the tech so that third parties can make them. I mean, that's just messed up that you still can't, because I haven't heard of anybody making a third party battery yet either. It does. Wow. That's incredible. Yeah. Here, I'll give y'all. Let me set this down. I'll give y'all the view off the porch. Look here. Let me get the camera out of the mount here. Ah, loosen the wrong one. Hold on. All right, let's get this loose. This is what it looks like from here right now. Let me just hit this button. That's what I see right from my porch. And down there is the airport, and there's a highway running through this field. You probably can't see it, but it's right through there. We're sitting at something like 7,000 feet of elevation here. Nice view, yeah. It's incredible. That's the Sierra Nevada mountain chain. Yeah, it's gorgeous from here. Is there anything in my kit that I've left out that you guys have seen that I should have brought? I want to get a zoom lens for general, like just general photography. And I would like to get the 24 to 90 millimeter Leica lens so that it's native to the cameras. It's really expensive, and I'm kind of saving up for it, but it's slow because it's real expensive. But I want native glass for these, for that, on that one lens mainly, because I want the autofocus to work right. I've got manual zoom, like that 75 to 150 that I got in the bag. It works good. It's kind of slow, but it does work good. I used it in the rock climbing competition to photograph Sierra some. I used it to photograph them when they were doing the big wall climbing. But it's not enough zoom. Like in the mornings, out on those trees is right here. Every morning there's these woodpeckers, and I don't have enough lens to take a photo of them. They're not. They look like the classic little red-headed woodpeckers, but their head ain't red. It's like a black. It's a black and white kind of woodpecker, and they'll flit around on the trees. You can tell what's going on, but. And then there's some other little bird. I'm not sure what it is, a little bitty thing, and it runs around on the tree trunk like gravity don't apply to it. and it'll act a little bit like a woodpecker, but it's mostly just breaking off loose bark looking for bugs under it. And like I said, if I'd have brought my 500, I'd have got some decent photos of them, but I didn't bring it. I just didn't think I was going to do much wildlife photography while I was here, so I didn't think it was worth the wait to pack that giant lens just for, a handful of photos. But they got what we call chipmunks. They call them like red-breasted ground squirrel? Red something ground squirrel. And it looks like a chipmunk, but the front half of it is this bright red color. And I've got a sign, I took a picture of it at one of the state parks. It says, do not interact with any of the local wildlife, especially the rodents like the ground squirrels or rabbits or regular gray squirrels, because out here they still carry the plague. That crap ain't cool. And there's 3 forms of plague. I looked it up. You can get pneumonia-based plague. You can get the black plague, which is where it kills your tissues and it turns black. And you can get the kind that attacks your lymph nodes. And I don't remember that, lymphatic plague or something like that. But and it's kind of a crapshoot as to which one you'll get. And you can just get bit by a flea off of one of those creatures and catch it. So it made me respect that little cute ground squirrel that sits there and looks at you, and they're only about this tall. They don't have a lot of man fear around these resorts because nobody messes with them. So you'll walk down the sidewalk and they'll just be 3-4 feet over in the grass. But yeah, don't mess with them. The plague is a thing, and they are serious. It's out here. Let's see, I missed something here. Charles Andrus says, "Hi, David. Welcome to California, my home state. Enjoy your vacation." Well, thank you. It's beautiful up here. Now, we're in, I guess you would call this sort of Northern California. You know, we're still a little north of Sacramento from what I looked at on the map. I don't know how much further it is to Oregon, but it's beautiful up here. We've seen redwood trees. The ones we've seen aren't even the really big ones, and they're enormous. We've seen like giant fir trees and some kind of pines. I don't know exactly what kind of pines they are, just to be honest with you. These trees they're all unique for me. There's Douglas firs. I recognize Douglas firs because we see them occasionally back out east. But these long, tall pines, and the limbs only grow out about 5 feet away from the trunk, all the way up. You know, our trees back home, they get big, but these don't. They shoot straight up. I can see why the timber industry is very prominent out here. If the trees back east looked like these do when they first started logging back east, I can see the reason. Because yeah, they're nice, tall, straight logs. It'd just be so easy to mill these into lumber. And there's literally billions of them everywhere you look. I can see why you would want to be a timber company out here. There's just money looking literally everywhere. But you get in them state parks, man, where they ain't been able to log the trees. They're huge. They're just enormous. Let it go out again. There we go. But what would you guys have brought on a family vacation? Randall Brander says, "I even want a dummy battery for streaming." Oh yeah. Here's a question for Randall: is can't you? I know you can USB charge the Z50. Can't you stream off that charge? Isn't it like the Z6 II and the Z7 II with the EL15C batteries? Now I know that's a different model battery, but you know, with the C's, you can USB charge and power the camera with a USB charger. You know, while you're charging, you can run it off that USB circuit. Can't you do the Z50 the same way? I charge mine with USB regularly, but I don't remember if you can. Velo Rider says, "I bring a point and shoot for vacations, a Sony RX100 or the Nikon L35AF. Nikon L35AF. I'll have to look that up. I don't know what that is. I know what an RX100 is. Those are great little cameras. I mean, Sony's menu system is terrible, but they make a good camera. You can't fault them when they're camera tech. I mean, have you seen Mark Smith's photos? I rest my case. Oh, we got a raptor. It's the first one I've seen. Trying to see if it's an eagle. Looks like it's probably a hawk. Yeah, it looks like it's a red-tailed hawk. White speckled belly, brown on the back. Well, at least from up here, he was soaring right out there. He just literally soared into, circled around, banked up, and then soared back out of view. I'm gonna guess it's a red-tailed hawk or a red-shouldered hawk. Looked like that, but yeah, that's what as far as a vacation camera. That's what my CL is for. I bring it, and I'll bring like either a 50 mil or a 20 or a 24. 24 acts like a 35. You know, for general snapshots, 24 millimeter on this works really well. And like I said, I like the 23 f2 Leica lens on it, but I didn't like the way the autofocus runs. There's no provision for back button focus on this camera, and that kind of annoyed me. That was one of my hangups with the CL, is there's no back button focus. And with a manual focus lens, I don't have to deal with that at all. I could manually focus the 23 f2 Summicron, but I just like the old lenses, so I just use them. But that way, all my glasses interchangeable between all my cameras too. But yeah, same kind of concept. A little bigger machine. Let's see. Randall says, no, the Z6 II and the Z5 will not charge with the USB while the camera is on. The Z50, I do not believe it will either, but the new Zycon's ZFC can. I could have swore the Z6 II would do the whole in-camera power and charge. Okay. Could have swore that was what the EL15C battery was for. See, my Z6 won't. It'll charge, but you can't power the camera with it. Okay. That's good to know. I have dummy batteries for the Z5 and the Z6 II, plus the Sony A6100. Interesting. I got one for my D810, which probably will run my Z6, come to think of it. I'd have to try it and see. The D810 batteries won't run the Z6 though, so I'll have to see. I haven't bothered to try it on the Z6. I was streaming with my D810 for a while. It works really good for that. For 1080p streaming, works like a charm. Actually, I used that 24 millimeter lens on it because the focus on the D810 is kind of bad. Charles says, I always pack my rangefinder camera. It is a must for vacations. The CL is a great size for vacation. Yeah, I like the kind of the rangefinder format. I'm pretty big into that now. I mean, the SL2 is a standard eye location, center of camera location, but the CL winds up being my carry around camera because it's lighter. You know, it's not, since it doesn't weigh near as much, and it takes really good photos. I just throw it around my neck and go. And I've got, this is one of those cheap, this is a cheap cotton version of the Hyperion. I got this one from Amazon for like $8 or something. That's like fake leather. It's not even real leather. But it works. But this is like a cotton cord. I don't know if it'll focus on it. Probably won't. If I can get my hand to cheat the system here. But it's kind of hard to tell. Yeah. There you go. Back off a little bit, maybe you can see it. It's hard to see, but it's getting some wear on it now, and it's starting to get a little character, but it's real stretchy. I like it a lot. Bass Angler says, I'm still in the Stone Ages using a D500. There ain't nothing Stone Age about that. The 15C has more battery charge. Huh. Okay. Well, that's great because I bought 2 of them and promptly lost one of them. I got 2 or 3 ENL 15Bs, 1 C now, and a bunch of the ENL EL15s for my D810, which they're all aftermarkets. They're Vivitars. Them Vivitar batteries work good. I used them for years in my D810 with 0 issues. Matter of fact, my original Nikon EL15 went bad, and the Vivitars are still working. And I bought them all. I bought all the batteries right after I got the camera spares. Got a piece of a tobacco leaf stuck to the back of my tooth. It's bugging me. Use it like a mirror. Let's see here. Ron says the Sony RX105 point and shoot f1.8 is a great travel camera. The Z50 with the kit lens and the full frame f1.8 lenses. Yeah, still shoot the D50 is what Velo says. D50 is a good camera. I have a Z50 and I have it pretty much dedicated to videography and wildlife. I run it with the 500 millimeter with a F to Z adapter for wildlife photos, and then I'll put a 10 to 15 millimeter on the F to Z and shoot my videos with it. But I have yet to just use it for like a general purpose camera. Phil Thatch is on me about that all the time. He's constantly telling me how it'd be a great just general purpose camera. Thought I had it. Let's see. I've thought about getting one of them RX100Vs because Ted Forbes likes to use them for vlogging cameras. And I almost bought one of them for a vlogging camera, and then I bought the Z6 instead. And I don't hardly use the Z6 now. I've thought about selling it a couple times. I'll hang on to my D810 because it ain't got no resale value at this point, and it still takes insanely good photos. Like I took it to Florida back in January and shot photos with Cuban rum, and it ran beautifully. It didn't give me a single problem. So if I was going to get rid of one of them full frame cameras, it'd be that Z6, even though it has IBIS. I just don't use it a lot. I got it out a couple weeks ago and shot a couple of events, one back in May and one in July, or June and July, my bad. And I just don't get it out and use it all that much. I use these things and the Z50 for video, and that's the main cameras I run right now. Randall says small rig cage on the Z50 and the Z6 too. The Z6 too is a much better machine than the Z6. When they went to that dual microprocessor, that brought that camera to life. I mean, the autofocus now is where it should have been when the Z6 came out. Another airplane coming into the airport. Oh, it's leaving. I see it going up. D500 rocks, and it's still the best DX camera Nikon makes. There's some truth in that. The Z50 can do a lot, but it can't compete with the D500 focus system. It just doesn't have it. I mean, that D500's focus it's just second to none. I mean, I'm pretty sure someone said that they stripped the focus mech out of the D5 and put it in the D500, and I believe it. That thing is a focus monster. Randall says F to Z adapter and the Tamron 7200 f2.8 Gen 2 works great on the Z6 II, Z5, and the Z50. That's good. Our buddy Ray Soldano got a Z6 II, and he has that particular Tamron 70-200. And that thing, it's like, as he put it, that's his cheater rig. He said he didn't even have to try. You just get the camera close and it'll do the rest. It's incredible how accurate that focus is and how sharp that lens is. For a third-party lens, that thing is phenomenal. Charles says, I'm with you on that, David. I use my Z50 and D500 more than my Z6. Yeah. Well, I took back in, what was it, February? We went to Costa Rica, I think it was. And I packed this backpack with gear and took the Z50 video rig basically outside of the pack and carried it in my hand as a vlogging rig. And it, they'll let you walk that crap through to the plane. They don't give you no grief over it. So I was able to get an extra device that way. But I wound up. I started out shooting the Z6 and the F to Z, the 1.4 teleconverter, and the 500 phase Fresnel as my wildlife rig. I started out with that. By the end of the trip and a couple of conversations with Phil Thatch later, I was running the Z50, the F to Z, and the 500 millimeter without the 1.4 tele. It's like 750 millimeter field of view. With that 20.9 megapixel sensor, I was getting amazing photos. The whole rig was smaller and lighter. It was easier to carry. It didn't like fatigue me near as bad to lug it around. The battery life wasn't terrible. I got 2 batteries for the 50, and I could go all day with 2 batteries and it would work fine. That's for wildlife photos, you know. Like if you hit a period where you know you're not going to be using it, I'd turn it off. But they would. I could get a whole day out of 2 batteries. It worked really well like that. And by doing that, I quit using the Z6. I started actually videoing with the Z6 on vacation. And it does good video, but it's kind of surplus to my needs, if that makes sense. I probably need to put that thing on the market and let someone else use it that'll actually put it into service and put that money towards something that I'll actually use. Because I'm about flush on digital cameras right now. I've got way too many of them. There's another one that I can't remember what it is right now that I use from time to time. What is it? Got them stupid film cameras. I got a bunch of them things. Thought there was another digital camera. I got the D40X, but I don't shoot with it hardly at all anymore. I bought it to do product photography with. It works really good with flash. Here lately, I've been shooting all my thumbnails with this guy and a 50 millimeter. I got a Pentax 50 millimeter f1.4 that I've adapted, and I put it on here, and I'll shoot my thumbnails of like when I do the tabletop photos for my my lens reviews. If you'll notice, they're always on that oak table, and and I'll light them with a flash. I've got that Godox AD200, and I'll handhold it. If you look through my channel community tab, the little post, you can see a photo of me taking a thumbnail where I'm holding that Godox flash over the item, and I've got this set on timer. And what I'll do is I'll put it on 12-second timer, and I'll get it all like focused, and then I'll back off my ISO. I'll go from auto back to like ISO 100. Enable the timer, start the exposure, and then just get around in front of it and hold the flash where I want it, fire a frame, check it, and if it's underexposed, I'll add flash power. If it's overexposed, I'll back the flash power off, run about typically like 1/100th of a second shutter speed, and stop it down to about f11 on the aperture, and I can kill the room ambient light almost completely, and I've got a black backdrop I set on the table behind it, and that kills all the backlighting that would be on it, and it makes beautiful photos for thumbnails. But yeah, I use this camera to do my thumbnails. I've took some with the Z6 because it was available, and I had it, and it was, since it was sitting there, and it had the right focal length lens on it, which is about an 85 to 100 millimeter. I like to do my thumbnails with about in between 75 and 100 millimeter focal length. It gives me good background separation, with the table being so small that I want the background to fade out into the black bokeh, and by moving the camera back some, it allows me to get that compression. It looks pretty good, and I can normally get a nice deep depth of field with f11 to where you can see all the text usually, And for my review videos, that's what I like. Kind of surprised Adrian ain't dropped in here. Let's see. Randall says, people are saying that the D850 focusing system is better than the Z6 too. And that wouldn't surprise me. If you follow the photographer Adrian Alfred, he's a photographer in Australia. He shoots a D850 in his videos, and every time one of the Z6s will come out, he's got a buddy that buys it and loans it to him, lets him review it, and he has yet to find one that can actually replace his D850. He's just not there yet, and he says until a camera is out that focuses and produces images as good as this D850, he sees no reason to change. And Aaron's the same way. Aaron has a D850 and he won't get rid of it because it does such a great job. It's a wonderful camera. I mean, Nikon hit a home run with the D810, the D850, the D500. All three of those cameras are winning machines. Pretty much any of the D7000 family are amazing cameras. There's one or two of them in particular that's even better. I think the D7200 was probably the pinnacle of them. That's the way I am on the D500. That's what Bass Angler says. Till they come out with something that can actually perform to the level of a D500, it's king of the hill. For if it's doing what you want, I don't see no reason to change either, unless you're willing to do what Mark Smith done and go to a Sony. I think he uses an A1. Now, this might sound like heresy, but if you haven't noticed Phil's photos lately, that Canon, was it R6, I think is what he bought. That thing works. I mean, the proof is in the photos. His photos are, dude, they're on. I got to give him credit. Crazy good pictures. But yeah, if you haven't been over to Phil's channel and you're slightly interested in a Canon R6, he's got plenty of videos up of him shooting photos with the R6, and it's incredible what that camera's capable of. So, you know, if you just need a workhorse machine that has no character. I'm just joking. I don't know anything about cameras. I can honestly say that I don't think I ever held one, because the day I met up with Phil, I didn't mess with his. He showed me stuff on it, but we didn't actually like swap cameras, so I didn't actually just mess with it. Randall says Phil and his wife are awesome photographers. Yeah, Phil and Heather, both great photogs. Yeah, they are. They're amazing. And Heather's doing it with a Z50, and typically older glass. She's not using, like, she's got one new lens. She's got one of those, it's like an 18 to 400 or 18 to 600 or 24 to 600. She's got some kind of Tamron zoom lens that covers an incredible focal range, and she can get amazing pictures of that lens. But when she shoots wildlife, she shoots a 2 to 500 super zoom. I mean, proof's in the photos. Charles says, yes, you do. It works well. I'm a Nikon fan, so I'm not switching anytime soon. She rocks that Tamron lens for sure, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like my Nikon cameras. I like my D810. That thing is so old. I've rubbed the text off some of the buttons. The one that you press for reviewing the photos, it's about rubbed the text plumb off of it. It's funny though, to look at the images on the back of that camera compared to these is like going back in time. The LCD on that thing is so primitive compared to the new cameras that it's a different experience. It's like I just about have gotten to, well, I think I turned off auto review, and I have to manually press the button to review photos because you really can't tell. Even if you zoom in, you can't tell all that well if they're in focus. Since it doesn't have peaking, you just have to like zoom in as much as possible and hope that it's giving you an accurate representation of what focus looks like. You know, you just kind of trust that it's focused. It rarely misses though. I got to give it credit where credit's due. I mean, I use single point autofocus on it for most of the time I've owned that camera. I turn on group if I'm trying to shoot birds because it gives me better look at getting them. I don't know how to do proper bird in flight photography, so because I have zero practice at it, so I can't really claim much to that. But single point autofocus, that camera rarely misses, ever. Make sure I ain't missing anything here. Bass Angler said, "No, don't say Canon." I'm not buying one anytime because I've got way too many cameras now, and they all work, and I get the photos I like. You know, I think Phil was saying the other night or the other day in a video that, man, that airplane is just loud. There's all these little single prop planes coming in and out of this little airport. Man, that thing ain't gonna quit. I guess he took off. I see the runway right over there, but Phil enjoys like big apertures and tack sharp images. You know, it's more about how sharp the image is for him. He enjoys that minutia detail. He likes the detail in the image, and he likes the background to melt into the bokeh. To where for me, like for this thing, like I was saying earlier, it's kind of neat. I don't know if I can get it to show up on camera, but if you'll notice, there's 4 different orange characters here. You have an orange 8, and then an orange diamond, and then the 2 range distance numbers that are orange. If you line them 3 up, you'll be at F8, and it auto sets infinity to 5 feet. Everything from 5 feet to infinity is reasonably in focus, or in focus enough that, you know, standard 8x10s, you can't tell it. And let's see here, center focus is about 10 feet. So everything is around, you know, you say 9, 10, 11, 12 feet in that range will be sharp. And you set it and forget it. You don't even have to wait on focus. You just pull it up, get the composition, fire the shutter, move on. It's in focus. And I've grown to enjoy that. And the wider the lens, the wider that range is. That's another thing I like about wider angle glass. Like on this 24 mil, this thing it'll blow your mind. You know why guys could get film photos sharp back in the day. All right. They color code the apertures on here. You see how they're different colors. Okay, there's marks. These little tick marks right here. I'm having to look at the screen to show them to you. Those little tick marks correspond with those colors. All right, F22. Let's say you stopped it all the way down. If you set infinity on the first F22 tick mark, way over here, all the way around on this side of the lens, basically 1.5 feet to infinity is in focus at F22 on this 24 millimeter. Pretty much everything short of macro is in focus. You can literally set it and forget it in bright sun. You set it, I mean, I probably wouldn't shoot F22 myself. I would probably stop at F16. If you back it off to there, 2 feet to infinity is in focus at F16. So that's how you set it, see? There's an infinity marker. I've got it set on that blue smart dot and blue F16. It comes around to this other blue dot, and it's right at 2 feet. And yeah, it's instantaneous now. Literally, you bring the camera up, you compose the frame with the layout you want, just press the shutter, and you've captured that moment in time. And it's simple. Once you grasp it, it's so simple and fast. You know, you don't have to, like, if you do the autofocus area where the camera picks focus, it's guessing at what you think you want to be in focus. Typically, that's the nearest object. A lot of times, the nearest object for me is just a foreground element, and I don't care if it's sharp. So, you know, I want something else in focus. I'll put things in the foreground to build the image. I think I see the interstate over there. I think I'm seeing either that's a freight train. No, that's two-way traffic. That is the interstate. I didn't know I could see it from here. You can see a long way here. That's I-80. That's interesting. Yeah, that is. That's I-80. Okay, the smoke is cleared a little bit. I can actually see the back mountain range now. But yeah, that's so, me and Phil, we both are photographers, but we have different philosophies. And like he likes to use YouTube to share his photos. He said that the other day that he enjoys YouTube because it gives him an outlet to share his photography. And I can see that. I get it. I do the same thing. We have different genres. He loves birds and wildlife, and like he's really gotten into waterfalls. But I like architecture and street and like what do you call it? Not urbex, but when the stuff is falling down, urban decay. I like that sort of stuff, stuff that kind of tells a story from like days gone by. That's what I'm looking for. And it's neat to see the different, Bass Angler said gas pumps. There was a whole thing about that on our trip. we did it. That became a thing before the trip was over. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, it's just, that's the beauty of the whole hobby is pick what you want to photograph that brings you joy. You're not obligated to do one thing one way or one thing the other. You can do it any way you want. I've got literally, this is a $6,000 camera body with a $100 lens on it, and I love using this combination. It just works. It works really well. The IBIS in the camera makes it super stable, and currently it's overexposing because I was taking photos in the dark with it. The shutter speed is currently at 24 seconds. Let's just turn it down to more reasonable numbers. Like, oh, there we go. Now it's much more reasonable. See, this dial right here adjusts shutter speed. I normally, like during the day, if I'm doing snapshots with it, I'll set it on auto ISO, and I'll normally set the aperture to f8, and I'll set the shutter speed. Like if I'm just doing family photos, I'll set it to about 1/200th, and then let the ISO float around. And if it starts to get too bright and the ISO bottoms out and I'm starting to overexpose, it's got an exposure meter right here at the bottom, then I'll just add shutter speed, just a little bit more shutter speed, and it'll push that overexposure down, and I'm back in business. And I don't have crazy out of control ISO, and it's a real fun interaction for me with the camera. Let me cut it back off now. Let's see, something went by. Ollie, obviously, no, it's not. It's a. Let me just take it off. Face that down. This is a Tacomer 28 millimeter f3.5. Let me get over here. Oh, maybe get the camera to focus on it. It's hard to get it to pick it up. Yeah, it's 4 Pentax. Pentax probably own it, but it's an Asahi optical company. Tacomer. It's not a super Tacomer. It's a super multi-coated, which became SMC later. But yeah, that's basically it's a vintage Pentax 28 millimeter f3.5. Look at the rear element. Look how small it is. But this thing takes stunning photos. I did a mountain of night photos with it the other night. If you go to my Instagram, I'm pretty sure I know I shared one on the Instagram. There's a photo of a movie theater I took at night in Reno the other night with it. Beautiful images, dude. This thing is pretty stellar lens. It was actually given to me. I was really honored to get this. But yeah, old M42 mount. There we go. Back in business. It even come with this cool friction mounted square lens hood. It's got this little deal on it where you unlock it, stick it on the lens, square it up, and lock the collet. There we go. And it's back on. It has that cool square lens hood. Looks like a Fuji. Let's Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I got 3 Pentax lenses with me right now. Here's an old 55 millimeter radioactive lens. You can kind of tell because the lens is turning yellow. I tried the whole trick about setting it in the windowsill, and it helped with the yellowing some. They say sunlight will de-yellow them, but I don't know if I was getting enough sun. I need a better window that has more sunlight, I guess. But it didn't completely clear it up. It's still, as you can tell, you can see it even in this video, it's yellow somewhat. Another airplane. Then the third Pentax lens is this bad boy. This is the Pentax M. This is a K-mount lens, even though it's an M. It's a 75 to 150 millimeter, and it zooms further away the closer you pull the barrel. And all of this huge knurled area is focus ring, so you can focus that monster. It's a push-pull zoom, but it doesn't grow in length. Here's something else I like about this lens. It has a built-in lens hood. Thought that's pretty cool. The lens cap is kind of tough to work with. You have to be able to, it's just odd, but yeah, I'm big on them Pentax lenses. Somebody turned me on to them a couple of years ago, and yeah, I've been in love with them ever since. I got a few more at home. These are the ones I travel with regularly. I got a 50 millimeter f1.4 I like a lot too, and you can get them for little or nothing. Any Minolta lenses I have, let me think. I'm thinking about that. I don't know. Yeah, I got a 58 millimeter Minolta. It's a 58 millimeter f1.4. I ran it on my XT3. There's the other camera I have. I knew I had another digital camera. Yeah, only reason I hang on to it is Sierra likes to shoot with it, so I keep it around for her. I don't use it anymore now that I got the CL, and I just don't shoot with it. I like it. It's a great camera, but I don't use it much. Like I said, Sierra shoots with it. If she goes with me to shoot street, she'll shoot it. I kept the kit lens for it. The kit lens takes amazing photos, but I have a bunch of adapters to fit the XT3, and the 58 millimeter f1.4 Minolta lens I have was on it for a long time. I really like that old lens. I thought putting the lenses in the sun for fungus, bring it back to the shop for redoing the coating for what you were talking about, unless they do not do the recoating anymore. I don't know. Oh, I bumped my tripod. I don't know if they do or not. But now it don't have any fungus in it. I found it on YouTube. Somebody said sit it in the window and the radiation from the sun would take care of the yellowing, but it didn't. But it's still, even though it's got that yellow tint to it, auto white balance washes it or takes it right out. So it's not really a problem. It's a stellar lens. Yeah, it is. It's a wonderful little lens. And I was going to do a comparison video this week with it and haven't done it yet. I might have time Tuesday. Maybe. Not sure what's happening Tuesday. I could have done it today instead of a live stream, but figured I'd do a live stream. If anybody hasn't done it yet, give me a thumbs up. Appreciate it. I'm up to 8. Let's see if we can get to 10. And no, I'm not buying a Z50 if I get 10. You can go ahead and stop now, Bass Angler. But yeah, that's what I carry when I travel now. It's kind of interesting to see the different kits that people put together for when they go places. Phil shared, I think he did a picture on his channel. I refer to Phil a lot because me and him are pretty close by. A Z9. Not hardly. I have a Z9, except for it says Leica. I bet the Z9 will have better autofocus. Rumor has it this has like the heart out of a Panasonic Lumix, like S1 or something like that in it. If it does, I don't care. It still takes beautiful photos. But there's a lot of rumors about the Leica digitals having a lot of Panasonic tech in them, and I believe that. the The TL I had supposedly was just a straight knockoff of a Panasonic camera. They just rebuilt the housing shape different, shoehorned the Panasonic guts in it, and called it a Leica. It took good photos. It's just that it had a fatal flaw, and that was that it needed a viewfinder. I thought I could deal with not having a viewfinder, but that's a different subject for a different day. It's a wonderful little camera. I liked it for snapshots, especially with that 23 mil on it. No one is talking about overheating with the ZFC. That's a good thing. Yeah, Phil wants one for a vlogging camera. Since he's already got the Z50, he's already got lenses that'll work with it, and I think he's talking about getting it and running a kit lens on it, or maybe a 10 to 15 like I have. But he wants it because of the lens, the side flippy screen, and the better autofocus. Because the ZFC has the autofocus out of like the Z6 II in it, so that tech moves over into that newer crop sensor camera. Even though it's a retro design, he says he doesn't really care about the retro design. And I like the retro design, but yeah, I was making jokes about it. I have, somebody asked me if I was going to get a ZFC, and I said I have a Z50, or a XT3. I mean a ZFC hybrid. I have a Z50 and I have an XT3. I have basically both iterations of that camera. I don't know that does the ZFC have sensor stabilization? It don't look like it would have room for it. Ollie asked the $1,000 question right there. How do you feel about the viewfinder on the D810 versus the Z6? The reason I got the Z6 was because of the D810's viewfinder. With my eyes getting to where they are, the longer I use the D810 in bright light conditions, I don't have any trouble with it. But when it starts to get the least bit dim, I can't see through it anymore. It's just, I can't see to compose hardly. I mean, I can see through it, but it's dim. And with the Z6 EVF, just turn the brightness up on it. You can see. And, and it brings things to the table that the D810 can't do with a mechanical viewfinder, optical viewfinder, is you can review images in the bright sun. I can literally, all these mirrorless cameras are the same. I know the menu button's right here, and then you can scroll menus and do selections with the rear thumb wheel. So I can power this camera up. I can put it up to my eye, hit the menu button, and work through the menus to make changes in bright sun and be able to see just fine. I cannot do that on the D810. I have to look at that back display, and it's real hard for me to see it direct sun. But its focusing mechanism is really good, but its viewfinder is hard for me to use now. Now that the EVFs have come as far as they have, I won't buy another DSLR because of that. 5 out of the 6 cameras I have that are active using cameras are mirrorless cameras, and it's because of the EVF mainly. No stabilization on the ZFC, same as the Z50, but for better focusing and a retro look. Okay, thanks, Randall. I like the D810 so much better, but maybe I'm an old school DSLR dinosaur. I like the D810. Like I said, if it's a sunny day and like we're doing bird photos or something, I love it with a 1.4 teleconverter, and the 500 millimeter phase Fresnel is a beautiful combination. I love using it. It works like a charm. But when it gets dim, like low light or night, another thing you can do with an EVF that you can't do with a DSLR is like dial in 2 seconds of shutter speed and see the exposure that you're gonna get. And that's something you just can't do with the D810. You can go to live view and do it, but it's not. Live view is an afterthought for the D810. It really wasn't like at the forefront of the design tech. It works, but with, like I said, I can look through the viewfinder and see everything. You know, it just it changed photography for me. I just got to admit that. Raccoon says DSLR is dead. It is, but it ain't. There are DSLRs out there that are so good, people are going to keep using them. 1DX, no one can argue that's an amazing DSLR. I mean, Peter McKinnon vlogged on one for years. I don't know what he's using now. I haven't watched him in a while. I watch one of his videos on occasion, but yeah, for years he vlogged on one. I mean, Adrian Alfred still does landscape photography on one. Aaron still shoots a D850 regularly and a D500 regularly. Bass Angler shoots a D500 regularly, and that's his main camera. No, they're not dead just yet. I mean, the industry is moving to mirrorless. I got to go there. But you know, the main industry. I can't say that for Leica. Leica does their own thing. That's why they still make rangefinders. And supposedly there's still a rangefinder film camera. Was it the Leica MP, I think? Is a film camera that you can still buy new? People are buying them. Okay, but they're doing it. You know, it's like an M7 or something like that, but it's like a brand new one. I don't remember for sure, but they do like I said, they do their own thing. They quit making DSLRs, but they still make rangefinders. But the mainstream cameras, we'll stick to that. You know, Nikon, Canon, Sony, Fuji. Couldn't think of it for a second. They're all shifting to mirrorless, and I get why. I mean, honestly, it makes more sense if you see it. You know, if you see it from a business perspective, this is cheaper to make. Okay, it's a fact. There's no pentaprism. There's no shutter box. There's no mirror box. My bad. You eliminate all of that precision mechanics, all that optically aligned. You don't have the sub sensor array for the focusing system. You know, on a Nikon, some of the light got kicked over to the side, and down in the corner here was a second sensor array that only did focus. When it showed focus points, that was the pixels on the sensor, or the sections of a sensor that was over in the corner that just worked on focusing, and that had to be aligned to the lens or the sensor plane sensor, and all of that is eliminated. They use the sensor to do the focus now that you take the picture with, eliminating all of that technology and all of that machine work and all of them precision optical parts. All that's gone. It's just a simpler design, and it's cheaper to make, and they're more profitable that way because they're charging DSLR prices for mirrorless cameras, and that's why I buy them all second-handed. I ain't paid top dollar for any of these. They're still pricey, but they're way cheaper than if I bought them new. Like this one, I think I gave like $1,700 for it, and it was because it had this scratch right here. See that paint scuff? That's a $1,000 paint scuff. There's one on each side, and it's from these little rings. The factory strap, this doesn't have this piece of leather to protect it, and the rings rub it right there. And because it had them two scuffs in the paint, it killed $1,000 worth of value on it. So I got this for actually Fuji X-T3 money. You know? And you can find them. People buy them, and they get into them, get out of them, whatever, for whatever reason. But yeah, I mean, it's just smarter business to make this than it is to build all that complex mechanism as well as this. You have to have all this with both cameras. Eliminate all them parts, It just makes sense. Financially, it makes sense because you get the cost of the camera down that way, and you bring the profit margin back up because the camera industry is a very tough industry. You know, right now it's a pretty dog eat dog industry with the way it's been contracting. So they're trying to figure out ways to holding on to their slice of the market pie, and it's not easy. I mean, Fuji has brought their A game, and they have gotten a significant slice of pie. So, Sony has come in and basically kicked Nikon out of the top one or two slot. They're now, I don't know, they're way down the list. I mean, they didn't pay attention to what was happening, you know. Ali says less stuff to break too. Yeah, it's a more robust system. Yeah, it's more robust. Woody says after you use up your new Z9, I will get it from you. DSLR user here for now. I ain't buying that Z9. God help me. Randall Brander says the Z mount lenses are better than the F mount lenses. They're sharper but more expensive. Yeah, but the F mount lenses are sharp. I can't visually with my eye see the differences. It just isn't there for me. There's not enough differences for me to worry with. If the Z9 is like the A1, then the DSLR is dead. And that's possibly true. I mean, you can turn the brightness up in the Z6 viewfinder. I'm pretty sure you can. I'll have to look. I haven't looked in a while, but I'm pretty sure you can. You can adjust display brightness. Pentax is almost dead. Pentax has this they're like Leica. They have this super loyal niche group, subset of users that will stick to them. And as long as they don't grow their business outside of the consumer base of people that are dedicated Pentax shooters, they'll be there. Which they also do some stuff in like cinema and things like that. They're more than just the cameras. RF mount is better. Yeah. If you just want absolute, if you're a working professional, I'd say get an R5 or an R6, or a D850 and F lenses. I mean, a working pro needs a proven system that will get the job done every time. And from what Phil has shown on his channel, the R6 and the Holy Trinity of lenses for it are capable. And I know the D850 and the Holy Trinity of F-mount lenses are capable. I mean, people make a good living with D750s and 3 lenses. Seriously, a couple of D750s and the Holy Trinity, and a wedding photographer is made. Literally, that's all the gear they need to shoot weddings. It's that simple. If you break one of them, buy another one, I guess. But yeah, that's literally, if I was a working pro, and I was doing event photography or wedding photos or, engagement shoots, I would literally have a D850 and the Holy Trinity, or 2 of them. That would be what I'd run. I'd have a pair of them, and I'd just rotate them with every shoot. I'd use the other camera so that they would both get mileage on them, and you wouldn't have one go bad because it was being stale. But that would be how I'd roll if I was using it strictly for business. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. It's just smart business. You could literally get a 5D Mark IV or a 5D Mark III and the Canon L glass from that generation and make a good living with it. I mean, Thomas Heaton shot with, or still shoots with a Canon like 5D or 5D Mark I or something like that. Those cameras, they're perfectly capable machines. I mean, they made money for people for decades. You can't say nothing bad about them. And the Sony cameras, I mean, honestly, the A7R III and a couple of lenses, and you'd be set up. I mean, yeah. And you can get that stuff so cheap now. You could buy, like I said, you could buy you a spare body and a half a dozen extra batteries for pennies compared to a new one, and no one would know that you wasn't shooting the latest and greatest camera. They'd have no idea.
Dad, we gotta leave.
Okay. Steve Stewart's here. How you doing? Well, y'all all heard what the boss lady said. Might have to pull the plug on the stream, unfortunately. The new K3 Mark III seems okay. Oh, that's that new Pentax camera. I need the S lenses for video, but the nice thing is some F lenses work really well in video, like the 85-1.4 and the 28-1.8. Nice. Hello, David, California. Joy Adams. Hey, how you doing, Joy? 35-1.4 is horrible, though. Huh. Interesting. Plus, everyone has jumped on the Topaz bandwagon, and you can't see what the camera actually outputs. Have a nice second. Yeah, you guys, appreciate y'all. If y'all haven't done it, thumbs up. And till next time, there's an airplane. Glad you guys jumped in. Had a lot of fun tonight. 6 p.m. West Coast time. Yep. Yeah. I have the GMT handset on Eastern. It says it's 9 o'clock back home. Y'all have a good evening. Till next time, get your camera out and go take a picture with it, all right? We'll see y'all later. Bye, y'all.